Well, my film idea is from way back in 2014.
Oh, wow.
Which is 10 years ago
10 years
now.
in the making, folks.
But this is what the whole idea of the podcast was for, to share our old ideas we never did anything with.
Sadly, I've forgotten all of mine, so...
Well, I made a note of mine.
Oh!
And I printed it off.
Hey!
So if the audience wants to just read that, and we'll sit here for a few minutes. No, but...
That's a whole page of stuff you got there.
Well, yeah, I went through like some of my ideas, and some of them I'd written like notes, like bits of dialogue and that.
Okay.
So I read this one, and I read a few lines and remembered it, but I purposely haven't read the rest. So this is going to be just as much as a surprise for me as it is for you, because the film's called Where's Brian?
Okay.
And it's
where Wally looking for his brother. Meanwhile, Brian's looking for his Wally.
It's a prequel. So I've got a guy played by Mike.
Oh, you've already casted it. Look at that.
Comes into work, and his colleague and good friend Brian, played by Ben.
Oh.
Although he's not actually in the film. Cast myself in
a role that doesn't exist.
And his colleague and good friend Brian is not in.
Oh.
And he gets an email with a funny picture, and he goes, "Oh, I've got to show this to Brian. I love this." So he goes, and he can't find Brian. So he goes around and says, "Has anyone seen Brian?" And people are like, "Brian who?"
Seen Brian.
And no one seems to know this Brian. And there's an exchange.
They don't know who Brian is, even though he works there.
So there's an exchange. You can, if you do the first time, then I'll do
the
second one, and so on.
Where's Brian?
Brian who?
Brian Harris. Come on, he's been working here for 8 years.
I'm sorry, I don't know who you mean.
Brian came to the Christmas fancy dress party as your nan. What I love as well is it says his nan, but your nan, which is totally better. A very specific nan. The guy, oh, this is your nan. How can you forget that?
This is weird. I don't think I can drink now.
The guy dressed as my nan. It does say dressed as his nan.
So he questions everyone in the office and asks the manager as well, but nobody knows who Brian is. Okay. So after work, he goes home to his flat and tells his flatmate, played by Ben.
There you go. So, there you are, Brian.
Yeah, so I'm playing the flatmate about nobody knowing who Brian is. But the flatmate hadn't met Brian. So let's try this. So, that's weird. Maybe he's been fired and nobody's allowed to talk about it.
Maybe.
Why not ask his family?
That's a good idea.
Of course it is. I thought of it.
Will you come with me? I don't like Brian's mum. She keeps trying to make... Wait. She keeps trying to make me eat her cookies.
Okay, sure. That must have seemed funnier at the time. We'll probably come to that, but yeah, so they go around to Brian's house and ask his family where he is. Brian's mum's made cookies and keeps offering them, but they claim not to know who he is. And then their son comes in, called Brian.
Oh!
But he's not the Brian that Mike's character knows.
Well, surely they wouldn't say, "Oh yeah, Brian, he's in the other room," rather than saying, "We don't know who Brian is." They'd be...
Yeah, but he must have said, my friend or my colleague Brian. I haven't thought this through. But I'll read this because there's a few lines, but it's multiple people.
Okay.
So it'll get confusing. He's not Brian. Yes, he is. Yes, I am. Well, he might be a Brian, but he's not my Brian. He's not my friend Brian. So I think you should leave. Wait, where does he work? The grocer's. Not that it's any of your business. No, this isn't right. And then me, I know, lemon and ginger.
Eating the cookies.
There's that cookie payoff that we wanted. So they ask him to leave. And then they go back to his flat. And then there's a bit more dialogue between us.
Oh, here we go.
So from there, maybe he's not real. Maybe you've been imagining him.
But you've seen him too.
Well, I've never actually seen him, have I?
So you're saying I made up a friend? I pretended I've been working with him for 8 years.
Well, it does sound like something you would do.
What? No. Look, Brian's real. Why would I make him up?
I don't know, to mess with us. Mate, remember when you said your aunt was disabled?
That was a clever lie to get us cheap theatre tickets.
But she wasn't disabled though, was she?
No.
So you have been known to make things up.
I'm not making it up. Look, I'm going to prove Brian's real.
How?
I'm going to find him.
I think I know where you should start looking.
Really? Where?
In your imagination.
Oh, shut up. I'm going to find him. Just you watch.
Yeah, so that's all the notes. Well, there's one last note.
Oh?
It says, if Brian doesn't appear in the film, we'll credit a big star like Tom Hanks as Brian.
It's Brian, yeah.
Put it on all the posters. Well, actually, no.
Tom Hanks is Brian.
Then they might think he's playing the other Brian.
Ah, yeah, true.
So yeah, that's Where's Brian? So do you think they should find Brian? Because this treatment is kind of open-ended. Do you think they should find Brian, or he slowly goes insane trying to find him? Or
It's interesting because I don't think about either. It turns out like Brian is like a secret agent or something.
yeah.
And, you know, my character's asking too many questions
Ooh.
and that has to be taken out.
Yeah.
And of course I drag you along and we end up going on a big adventure
Yeah.
to find Brian.
Yeah.
Kind of like, what's that Arnold Schwarzenegger film? Total Recall. When, he starts asking too many questions about his former life as a secret agent, and then, it turns out he really was a secret agent.
Yeah.
And maybe something like that with Brian.
Yeah, maybe there could be like multiple endings.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how that would work with like cinemas and that. If you
Depending on which showing you see, it's a different ending.
Because then there could be one where like there was never any Brian. And
Yeah.
then...
That's the other I'm thinking. Either it turns out there is no Brian, there's never been a Brian. In which case, my character's just crazy.
Yeah, and he gets taken to a mental institution where he's got a therapist called Brian.
Ah, Brian, it's you.
Yeah. And then like you're not sure whether he's really Brian or he just thinks it's Brian. Yeah, and just leave it confused. And
That's interesting because that's sort of going down like a psychological thriller route, as opposed to like my idea as well, like an action thriller.
Yeah,
like
or
a spy thriller.
Brian could be in the mental place. Like he sees him like his cellmate or something.
Oh yeah. So Brian is real, but he's been like put into a mental institute. Ooh, what for though?
For being imaginary.
For being Brian.
I don't know. This is the thing, when you come up with an answer, it creates like a dozen more questions.
It's something like we could definitely...
Maybe Brian is like gone mad as well and thinking there's someone who exists who doesn't. This is getting complicated now. Let's just do he goes there and... Well, there's two endings. One, it turns out Brian was a secret agent.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Bunn.
Jim's brother.
That glue manufacturer. And then the other ending is he goes to a psychiatric place and the last shot is of him with the therapist. And he goes, Brian, it's you! And then he pans around and Tom Hanks going, it's me!
That's how he talks, is it? I'm Tom Hanks! Are you sure that's Tom Hanks? We are in a mental institute. He might just be a guy you found. I like it. I like Where's Brian? It's very interesting.
I like the name Brian as well. It's like, it's like an action blockbuster. It'd be like
like
cooler name where Brian's
like Stone or Steve or
Where's Steve?
Snake, yeah. Where's Steve? It doesn't have the same ring as Where's Brian?
Yeah.
I like it.
So yeah, we've got the cast as
Yeah,
well.
we've
Me
got
and
the
you.
cast. Yeah, I'd probably recast myself.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be fun. We could play it. Because there'd be like elements of comedy in it as well, obviously.
Oh, well,
I mean, you can't tell from that.
Well, that's why it should be an action like spy thriller if we're going to be in it. Come on, Ben, let's have some fun. Be exciting. We went to Amsterdam not too long ago.
Yeah, we keep plugging it.
It's a very nice place. You should go. But they've got those little cars, haven't they? Like 2-seater cars.
Yeah.
And I was
we
talking
drive
about
around.
someone should have like a car chase through Amsterdam in those little cars. Yeah.
Maybe we could set it in Amsterdam.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's where their adventure takes them.
Brian must have moved to Amsterdam. He's always on about Amsterdam. Telling me about the dungeons. There's a man dressed as a barmaid.
Who we fell in love with.
Thing is, we'd do that if we wrote a film. We put loads of in-jokes.
Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense to anyone. Who the hell is this Harvey, by the way?
So yeah, that's Where's Brian? But now the second question we need answering is, what's your idea?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, what's Brian? Imaginary person.
Why is Brian? There's a whole trilogy.
How is Brian?
Alright, Brian.
Yeah, not too bad. Mate. The end.
When's Brian?
Is he here?
It's
Yeah.
a time travel one.
Oh, that's a good one.
All different themes, genres.
Yeah, I like it.